Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and you are listening to another episode of the world famous University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Saturday, June the 21st, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to be talking to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a heck of a show today. Then, ladies and gents, we are going to talk about the hanger-ons and the marketing of the hanger-ons. You see these people, you see clips all the time. I don't know about you, but I was just looking one day and I saw a clip of Dame Dash, and Dame Dash was like, I ain't ever borrowed no money from DeHaven. I don't know what DeHaven talk about. I only know DeHaven is Gil. And I thought to myself, now who is Gil? Who is DeHaven? What's going on here? And of course, I remember that song, Jay-Z, he was like, Gil changed my life, something. And apparently this guy named DeHaven, he was a friend of Jay-Z's. I guess DeHaven went to jail because DeHaven, sold drugs. He got out of jail. And now he went from selling drugs to selling himself on podcast interviews. He just goes around and talks about Jay-Z. That's got to be. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. I love all my friends. I love my family. I consider my family, well, my friends are family. My family are friends, ladies and gents. But I could not imagine me just having to go around all the time and just discussing a friend of mine. I got a friend. I love him to death. He is my brother. He has been on. He owns a donut shop. It's very successful. It's great. I love him. I cannot imagine me just going around all the time, especially if we like are not friends no more. Well, that would never happen. But I cannot imagine me just going around doing interviews like, yeah, I helped him get his start. Yeah, that was me. He wouldn't be there without me. And so you got all these type of people out here in the world. Jay-Z has apparently Jay-Z, from artists to, you got Jaguar Wright who just goes around. I mean, I remember her from, she was on, is this a Jay-Z episode? I remember she did Unplugged with Jay-Z. Jay-Z and the Roots, they did Unplugged back in 2001. It was a great show, by the way, and I remember her from that, and I know she had like a couple other songs. But for the most part, Jaguar Wright, she sort of disappeared. Then one day she just popped back up and she started talking about Diddy, and she started going on about the music industry. And people love, and for some reason, and I know, man, it's the crazy part about social media, and I'm blaming you, okay? I'm talking directly to you. You are the problem when it comes to social media because everybody says, oh, positive vibes. But you always, yes is always going to click on anything negative, bucko, okay? And I'm talking directly to you. And you know who you are, okay? You, my friend, listening to the show. But yeah, so Jaguar Wright, you got DeHaven, I mean, who else? And it all started back in 1994. Okay, the person who we can blame for all this, the marketing of the hanger on, the famous, not famous, famous for hanging around famous people. We can God bless the dead, I guess, maybe. But O.J. Simpson, when he was accused of a murder, you know, O.J. Simpson, they probably they might have already had a reality show, but OJ became the OJ trial, the murder trial became the phenomenon that we know now as reality TV. And instead of focusing on, hey, two people lost their life, you hardly ever heard, hey, these two people, they lost their life, which they did, and it's tragic. They were murdered. You know, and of course, OJ was famously acquitted, and but it just made so many. And the first like star was Kato Kaelin, and Kato Kaelin was a house guest of OJ's. I don't know what Kato Kaelin did. I don't know what he had going on. I don't know if he was an actor. I don't know nothing about Kato Kaelin. The only thing I know is this man was a guest at OJ's house. They put him on trial, and he was famous. And you would see him doing reality shows. You would see him doing interviews. And so it all started. It started with that, and then you saw more and more people, not famous but famous. They hung around famous people, you would just see them in interviews. I remember the Anna Nicole Smith. She became super famous. She was a model. She was in The Naked Gun. Then she married a billionaire. She became I don't know if she became more infamous or famous, however you want to put it. And I just remember like when she passed away, and there was a question about who the paternity of the father was of her baby. The one the Howard Stern, Howard K. Stern, he became super famous. Her real baby daddy, Larry Burkhead, he became famous. And it's just like, you see that all the time. It's like the marketing of the famous but not famous. Like, what are you known for? You're known for hanging around Anna Nicole Smith. You're known for sleeping at OJ's house. You're known for going around talking about Puff Daddy. That's Jaguar Wright. You got the DeHaven. He's known for going around talking about Jay-Z. But did Jay-Z really sell crack? Then you have, I remember when some other guy that knew Jay-Z got out of jail and they wanted to interview him. Let's talk to Emory Jones. And it's like, what's going on? That's like, there's a business around knowing this celebrity. There's a market, it's like LeBron. People make, LeBron is a great NBA player. We talked about LeBron yesterday. He's a great NBA player, but people make content around. I mean, Skip Bayless made a whole, and the sad part is about Skip Bayless. The sad part about Skip Bayless is Skip Bayless before he just started doing his shtick about LeBron. The sad part is he was a real journalist. Okay, Skip Bayless was a real journalist, a national award-winning journalist, a real reporter, a real Skip Bayless, not the cartoon character you know now, but he's made more money, which is sad. He made more money by signing up to be the LeBron, I guess you want to say, the LeBron hater, which is weird. It's weird. And so you have these people like that, and Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless showed that it could pay off. But do you really want that life? Do you want to be known for that? Okay. Do you want to be? I mean, Jaguar Wright. She goes on this platform on YouTube called Real Life Street Stars, and she just spews a bunch of stuff. And this woman has been at every party. She knows every music industry secret. Of course, because you can't sell records unless you sign up for the Illuminati. God help you if you could just sing, but especially if you're black. If you're black, I guess I haven't. So I guess this podcast has not sold out to the Illuminati because we are still, we are not in the big time. We do not have Joe Rogan numbers. Joe Rogan, not the Illuminati. Anybody black that gets real popular, you gotta be a part of the Illuminati. But that's neither here nor there. But what I'm saying is, Jaguar Wright, she's not known for singing no more. She's just known for talking about Puffy, talking about Jay-Z. She went on Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan had to apologize because Jaguar Wright just be talking and be talking and be talking because she's the hanger-on of the hanger-on. She's famous for what? Knowing some famous people. That's a marker for that. People will pay you to come sit on their couch and spew a bunch of BS about famous people. If LeBron James, if Rich Paul was to turn on LeBron James, they would probably offer this man $10 million to write a book about LeBron James. You know what I mean? Like it's endless. Rich Paul is not a hanger on of LeBron James. He has a legit job. So I'm not putting him in the category of those other people. But what I'm saying is to just know somebody famous and they like, hey, could you we could give you some money, and it's a market for that. It's a weird market, but there's a market for a lot of different things. And the market for being famous, for knowing famous people, is a weird place to be in. But people run with it. Kato Kaelin, he probably was on Big Brother. He probably was on Surreal Life. I mean, it's, every year for the Kentucky Derby, I see a picture of Larry Burkhead and Danny Lynn, his little daughter, They show him every year, and they're like, hey, there's Larry Burkhead and Nicole Smith's baby father. I mean, is it something that you can, should you pray that your friend gets famous? Personally, I would not want that. But Hey, some people are different, okay? Some people are totally different. What do you let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. What do you think? Would you could you go around all the time? I mean, because I watch that like, and I'm not saying nothing bad about Dame Dash, but Dame Dash, every time they interview him, they want to ask him about Jay-Z. And I admire Dame Dash because one time he was like, yo, man, I ain't come up here to keep asking y'all to keep asking me these questions about Jay-Z. And they was like, well, we just know that He's like, yeah. I got my own stuff going on, okay? And I admire that. Even though, Dame Dash, he's whatever, you have to admire that because he's like, hey, man, I ain't always up here. I did have my own business. I was a part of that company. We worked well together. It ended. It is what it is. I opened other stuff. I've done other stuff. You know, and so he was like, "Hey, man, stop all that." But you have some people. It does not matter. They keep on and they keep on. And I remember I watched Memphis Bleak. Memphis Bleak. He's a rapper. He has had some hit songs. He has had some good songs. I'm sure he probably went platinum maybe once or twice. I know he's went gold a few times, and they asked him questions about Jay-Z, but he's like, "Hey, man, you know that's the big homie, that's my guy, but I got other things to talk about." There's some people who are like, "Hey, let's put a stop to that," and we have some people that every time they get on there, it's just like the Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown, I remember he was a kid actor. He was a good little kid actor, and I guess I don't know if he did songs too, but he was on Family Matters, he was in Major Pain, he was on the Raven Simone show. And so he was a good kid actor, and now he's just known more for going around claiming that he's had sex with people or, he was at this party, him and Jaguar Wright, they on the same type of time. It's just like you're more famous now for knowing other famous people than doing things that you could be doing. And so it's not a good look. And that and the it's just like riding this you could be like Skip Bayless, ride the stick wave to money because as I told you, Skip Bayless had a whole career before he jumped on the it's so funny, not to get into, but I remember back in the day, like the early 2000s, 2001, maybe 2002. I used to watch this segment on Sundays with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, and this is long before they both became hokey. I mean, God bless them both. But Stephen A. Smith was a real journalist back then. He worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Skip Bayless was working somewhere, Dallas Morning News, something like that, Dallas Times. And they used to get on this they had this little segment on Sundays where they would go back and forth. And it was very genuine. And you could tell that they was really into it, and it was like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes at the most, maybe. They would debate stuff, they would go back and forth, and it was actually entertaining way before the nonsense they started. And I was like, oh, look at them guys, man. That's cool. Never in my life would I would have thought that Skip Bayless would be known for riding LeBron James' coattails for 20 years and making Fox paid this man $8 million a year just to be like, hey, the Cowboys are great and LeBron James is not Michael Jordan. I mean, I know, man. I mean, I ain't jealous, but come on, man. That's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And there's a market for that because people tune in and they're like, man, what's Skip gonna say about LeBron today? And after a while, it's like, how much of this can you watch? Like, why would you keep wanting to watch that? But, ladies and gentlemen, marketing rules the nation. They know that they have a market for that. Just like every week, whenever the Cowboys lose, people go, uh-oh, I wonder what Stephen A. is going to say about the Cowboys. And the Cowboys have been an underperforming team for the last 30 years. They suck, okay? The Cowboys they are like the Atlanta Falcons, but they get better press coverage, okay? I mean, you know what? No, I take that back. The Falcons have been to 3 Super Bowls since 1998, and the Cowboys have been to 0. So they not even the Falcons. The Falcons are better than the Cowboys. I take that back. I apologize, my Atlanta people. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons they broke our heart, so we always got a little problem with them. But the Cowboys they're very underachieving. They suck, like they haven't been good. But they're like, hey, Stephen A., come ride this horse and talk about Dallas getting blown out. When you know they there's a good chance of them losing every year, you know. And it's just the marketing of the shtick, the marketing of the hanger-ons. Like I just saw before I started recording, I saw a clip of a lady. I guess she got a baby with 50 Cent, maybe, and she's talking about 50 Cent wasn't no big time drug dealer. He was just a corner boy. And it's like, who is this lady, and why is she talking about 50 Cent? Who cares what 50 Cent used to be? What is he now? Okay, what is he doing now? And so you have all these people, every rapper, a lot of rap people, you know, a lot of people that didn't make it, they are like, oh yeah, Fat Joe held me down. I used to see every now and then I would see somebody talk about Fat Joe. Oh, Fat Joe held us down in Terror Squad, you know. I mean, Fat Joe did not hold Remy Ma down. She became super popular and super famous, and she became great from her raps. So he didn't hold her down, but maybe the rest of the Terror Squad got held down. And you see, like, you know, Big Pun. Every now and then you'll see somebody that knew Big Pun. They like, yeah, see, Joe didn't want Pun to do this, and the other. And it's just like another hang on of a hang on. You know, it's just it's crazy. And you see that a lot in rap for some reason. You don't see anybody from Iggy Pop. You don't see anybody from Iggy Pop's childhood, you know, coming on talking about Iggy Pop. You don't hear what's my man's name? Ozzy Osbourne. You don't hear nobody saying, I remember when I was in the latrine with Ozzy in school. You don't hear that. You only hear that in the hip hop community. Damn, I wonder why is that, man? That's gotta be looked at. You don't hear anybody talking about do you hear any of the David Beckham ex-friends of David Beckham's talking bad about David Beckham? No. Do you? No. In the NBA, it's just like Michael Jordan. Oh yeah, I used to know Michael Jordan. I knew Michael Jordan. You know, I got to look into that. Why is it only you don't hear nobody saying, man, Vin Rames. Yeah, I used to know Vin, and he treated me bad or he treated me good, and Vin liked to eat his noodles warm. I've heard a couple people on the internet. They're like, yeah, I used to know Cardi. I used to know Cardi B when she worked at the strip club. And it's like, who cares? Okay. I knew Cardi. It's like, hey man, the woman, she came along wherever she worked. I mean, I don't know, you know, I guess she was a stripper or whatever, but I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about love and hip hop. I just know the woman. She came out, she started rapping, she had the hit songs, she did an endorsement on McDonald's, but you know, there'll be people soon, there'll be, you know, there's always a hairstylist, there's always a somebody, oh, I saw this, I saw that. It's just like Will Smith, it was some hairstylist, they claiming that Will Smith was, you know, having relations with another actor or whatever. It's like, why is it always these people, you know, the hanger-ons, the famous, the people that are famous for knowing famous people, they always have these stories there, you know, and it's always in the rap community or the basketball community. I know so and so, so and so. It's a market. It's a weird market to be in. I hope that you don't have to be in that market. I hope that, you know, real life street stars is not giving you $1,000 in payment. I apologize. I saw this clip of Charles Oates one time. He was talking about real life street stars. And I guess because they're in Dallas and he's from Dallas or Fort Worth or whatever, and he used to go on their show, but then he said that they didn't like him, and he was like, you know, I used to let them pay me in payments, and they always got Jaguar right on there with the messy stuff, you know. And then I guess he had a confrontation with them, and he was like, hey, you know, I'm trying to work with y'all, but y'all keep trying to, you know, make me look crazy, make me look bad, but real life street stars, they love the real life street stars, they love the hanger-ons, they love the Jaguar Wrights, they love the people that you ain't never heard of, you know, the non-famous, the famous for knowing famous people. That's a weird market. To me, it would be a sad market. I hate to be in there, but if one of my people becomes super famous, I can't wait to people pay me $1,000 because I'm gonna talk bad about them. I'm gonna run them down. I'm just letting them